Now, in order to save time, I've already masked this original image. This was the original model. And I simply just went ahead and did the mask. So just to save time. And if you want to know how to mask, we have other videos available to show you how to mask something like this. Okay, so we're going to start it with a new image, and I'm going to go with a 1080 by 1350 pixel because that's the Instagram size that I like to use. My resolution is 150. RGB color, didn't change that. So let's go ahead and right away I'm going to turn this into a smart object so I can move it around and then just drag it over. And we're going to resize her. All right, there. Let's go ahead and turn that on. Okay. Step number one is getting the color grade. We're going to do that by borrowing the color from this image. I'm going to use my lasso tool and I'm going to circle area. And what we want is the highlights, the midtones, and the shadows. Now, if I zoom in here, you can see that we have a lot of things going on here, a lot of different shades. So what I want to do for the highlights is collect the average shade here. So I'm going to make a marquee tool of that. I'm going to go to filter, blur, and average. And that's going to give me the average of that shade. Deselect here. Now I want to go to the midtones. I'm going to do the same thing, lasso tool. Filter, blur, deselect, and now we want the shadows. Okay, so we have all three, and I'm just going to create on this layer here, I'm just going to create a, I'm going to grab my brush tool. Okay, so now that we have all three, what we're going to do now is I want to just create a swatch so I can carry that over to the main image. It'd be a lot easier. So hold down the Alt, click, and I'm just going to come over here and paint. Okay, so there's my swatch. And now I'm going to carry that over to my image. Okay. So now let's go ahead and create a curves adjustment layer. You want to make sure that you highlight the actual curve graph and not the mask. Okay. So this represents the highlights. So double click on that. It's going to bring this screen up, and I'm just going to right click on my highlights. It's going to ask me if I want to save the new target color as a default. I say no, and I'm just going to click on her face, and you can see that that color has not applied to our model. Do the same thing with the midtones. This is my midtone color, so I'm going to just hit no. Just going to find something that represents the midtones. And you can always click around, kind of adjust to what you need. And then finally, we're going to do the shadows. Yeah, I'm going to click a dark area. And what you do is you just click around, see if you can get something close to what you want. I like that. Okay, so now we have our colors. I'm going to go ahead and turn the swatches off. We'll rename this. All right, here's our model, and we'll rename this color grade. Now it is time to add the oil paint effect to the model. We're going to start off with, we're going to go to Image, Adjustment, Shadow Highlights, and I'm going to go with 10 and 0. Let's see what 5. Okay, so shadows is 10, highlights is 5. I'm going to go to the unsharp mask. Sharpen. And here I'm going to go with amount 250%, radius 1, threshold 0. And go to reduce noise, filter. And with the reduced noise, I'm going to go strength is 10%, preserve is 25%. I'm going to go 0 on reduced noise colors, 0 on sharpen. All right, now we do the diffuse filter. Stylize, diffuse, and this is the setting I want here, anisotropic. Okay, and now we go to the oil paint effects, stylize, oil paint, and for this, I'm going to keep it fairly simple. 2.5 on stylization, 2.5 on cleanliness, 0.1, 0, and I'll keep this the same. We can always, you can see how the lighting effect deals with the stroke, so maybe I'll turn the lighting effects off. Let's turn that off and go with 0. And then finally we'll go to sharpen, unsharpen mask, take this to 100, okay, zoom in, so now you can see we got an oil paint effect to our model, and the next thing we're going to go in is add texture. Okay, for texture, we're going to create a new layer, and I'm going to fill it with 50% gray. So go to Edit and Fill. %% gray. And we're going to go to Filter Gallery. We'll go to Texture, and I had it 200 and then 4. Then I'm going to change the blend mode to soft light. And now that we have that, we can go ahead and we can come back and work on that, but turn that off. Erase this up here and close all of this. And now I want to create an embossed layer. So I'm going to take this, Control Shift, create a new layer, and then we're going to desaturate this by Control Shift U. Then we go go to Filter, Stylize Emboss. Again, it's a number you can kind of play around with. Let me take it down. I want the lines in there, but I'm not sure if I want. Yeah, let's go about that. All right, and again, change this to soft light, and we're going to take the opacity down to say roughly about 30%. Let's get that to about 30%. All right. And now we have our texture. Okay, so now we're going to look at adjustment layers and see if we can just add a little more to it. I'm going to start with the curves adjustment layer. Start off with red, see if I can get some of the, it's pretty warm, so I'm going to take a little of that red out. Let's go to the blue. So we're just cooling it off just a little bit. Okay. I may, or sometimes I may use a gradient map. Let me go with all right. Again, changed it to soft light. Take that opacity down. Okay, there we go. Right. And we can determine if we need a levels. I think the curves kind of did it, but we can always just see if we and the last one is the vibrance. And I'll just play around with it. Okay. Okay, so that's the adjustment layers. So we added a curves, a gradient map, a levels, and the vibrance, just to kind of we're trying to get that old look to it. So got that, and let's go. Now one last thing we're going to do here, we're going to do a high pass. So we're going to go ahead and take all of this, highlight everything, desaturate, go to filter, other, high pass, 2.0 is fine. Change the blending mode to vivid light, and then we can change the opacity, see if it's too sharp. Okay. All right. So there is our model. And we have our oil paint effect to the model. Now what we're going to do is bring in the rest of the features. So this is I got this from Envato Elements. It's a Renaissance collection of backgrounds. So just grab this. Bring it all the way to the bottom. And I want some blue elements in it, so I wanted to make sure there was enough blue, because you can see there's a lot of brown, so I wanted to make sure I get some of that blue in it. All right. And finally, we're going to get the frame. Again, I've already masked the frame out. I just used the pen tool to mask this frame out. Grab that. Did it bring it over? Maybe I didn't bring it over. Okay, and move this all the way to the top. Yeah. Resize it. And I'm just gonna match so it's right. And add the texture back on, so you can see we got a little texture here. And we're going to take all of this model. Want to be able to move her around a little bit. And there is the settings. We are done. The goal of this channel is to give newbies to Photoshop, After Effects, and Premiere a one-stop place to learn the basics. I appreciate your support in this endeavor, so please subscribe, like, and share the videos and help me grow this channel. Remember, you can never use up creativity, so start creating more and often. This is Quick Start Creative.